Comic Book Savant, episode 325.
I know this. This I know. All that I have, all that is me, resides inside my poetry. And every time I write a rhyme, it might be the line that sets minds free. And also, I know that I don't...
Welcome to the Comic Book Savant podcast. I'm your host, James Harris. This week, we're going to do a review for the DC animated release of Justice League Dark. This is loosely based on the comic book series of the same name that was launched during the New 52. But before we get into that review, as always, I'd like to give a shout out to my friends over at the Comics Podcast Network. You can find them over at comicspodcast.com. If you like this show and you want to listen to more or find more comic book related material to listen to, it's a great launching pad. There are literally hundreds of different podcasts listed there now. You can find podcasts spotlighting comics in general in the wide range. You can find roundtable related podcasts or single person podcasts like myself, or you can find different shows based on particular characters, publishers, you name it. It is a podcast pretty much out there for it now. Team books and the solo books, whatever it may be. So if you're looking for more comic book related podcasts to listen to, go to the Comics Podcast Network. Again, you can find them over at comicspodcast.com. And definitely, if you do check out shows there, reach out to me, let me know what shows you found there. And also, if you ever have a moment, if you try a show and you enjoy that show, reach out to that producer of that show, that host, to let them know that you enjoyed the show. Because as a producer or podcaster of content, it's always awesome to hear back from listeners or hear from new listeners saying, hey, I found your show by this way, I'm really enjoying it. It's always a very uplifting thing and an energizing thing to, it helps motivate us to keep producing the content we do. So if you do, make sure you reach out to to that podcast host and let them know that you are enjoying the content after you found them, because it means a lot. As me being a podcaster, when I do hear back from listeners, it's always a really energizing and really good thing. Even if the feedback is not always as positive as I may want it to be, over the years you kind of get a tough skin on that. And you can take even the not most positive feedback and actually incorporate that to improve the show. So it's good to hear any feedback whatsoever. Last but not least, I'd like to give a shout out to the sponsor of this episode, which is my friends over at InStock Trades. Check out InStockTrades.com. The best place, that I can say when you want actual physical media to get your trade paperbacks, collected editions, omnibus, absolute editions, you name it, Marvel Masterworks, all that kind of stuff. This is the best place to go. InStockTrades.com. If you're not familiar with them, you get discounts anywhere from 35, 42, up to 50% off. They have their deals of the week, which they offer 50% off on a select number of books. This week, they have a handful of deals. They have Absolute Wonder Woman, which I would love this if I still collected physical comics. They have the Absolute Edition of Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chiang. Hardcover Volume 1. I know this book is probably stunning. It's 50% off, only $62.50. That is a great deal. Also, this is another book that I would love to have in my collection. This is the Alpha Flight by John Byrne Omnibus hardcover. I never read that whole run of the original Alpha Flight by John Byrne. And he's definitely one of my favorite artists and writers of all time. This is an awesome deal, too. 50% off, only $50. For that is a awesome deal. Batman Detective Comics trade paperback volume 1, Rise of the Batman. This is the first rebirth trade of Detective Comics. 50% off, only $8.49. And last but not least, we have Scooby Apocalypse trade paperback volume 1, also 50% off, only $8.49. If you're not familiar with InStock Trades, they have a great deal if you're a U.S. customer, and this unfortunately only applies to if you're a U.S. customer. If you place an order of $50 or more, you get get free shipping within the U.S. That's, again, it's only for U.S. customers. If you're an international listener, you want to use in-stock trades, you can still do that. But you don't get the free shipping because you're not a U.S.-based customer, but they have some of the most competitive international shipping rates around, so you can still save a ton by using in-stock trade. So don't let that disqualify you, because they have, they really have competitive pricing on international shipping. So with all that out of the way, we're going to get into the main topic of this episode, which is Justice League Dark, the next DC animated release. This is directed by Jay Olivia, and I've spoken on Jay Olivia, and a little bit later on in the episode, I'm going to do more of a spotlight on him. If you're not familiar with Jay Olivia, he has directed quite a few of the DC animated releases now. He has an extensive background, not just in animation, but in storyboarding. I was doing some more research on him because I always kind of mention him because since I review all these movies, I'm seeing him direct more and more of them. And as I did more research on him, I found out that he storyboards most of the up and coming, not just DC, but even Marvel. He works back and forth between two companies, and this goes back a long way, even with his animation background, because Jay Olivia actually started years ago when Marvel, when DC first started their whole DC animated universe and was doing these home video releases. Marvel had a division that was doing the same thing, and he headlined that division, and he directed a lot of their movies that they did. He directed the Invincible Iron Man animated release, Doctor Strange, the next Avengers Heroes of Tomorrow. Then he came over kind of midway through the heyday, the beginning phases. He came over, and then he's directed such movies for DC animated: Green Lantern, The Emerald Knights, Batman, The Dark Knight 1 and 2, The Dark Knight Returns 1 and 2. It was really a complete movie, but they broke it up into two parts. Justice League Flashpoint Paradox, Justice League War, Batman Assault on Arkham, Batman vs. Robin, Batman Bad Blood, and now Justice League Dark. When I was doing the research, he's actually even directing the next movie that's coming out, and I think soon this spring, Teen Titans: The Judas Contract. So he stays relatively busy, and in between this, I saw that he has done storyboards for like Wonder Woman. He's did storyboards for Thor Ragnarok, Batman versus Superman. So he stays busy. I can't see how he directs so many of these animated movies, do the storyboarding. But he stays busy, and he's a phenomenal director when you see his body of work. And he's done TV cartoons, like he did some Young Justice and some other stuff as well. But we're mainly focusing on the movie stuff. But he has worked extensively in animation, and he's a very experienced director. Again, so just wanted to give more background to him because we're seeing his name pop up a lot. And when you go back and you look a little bit deeper, you can see that why he's so in demand and he's good at what he does. Justice League Dark was written by Ernie Altbacker and J.M. DeMatteis. And the breakdown is as follows. Beings with supernatural powers join together to fight against supernatural villains. This team of supernatural beings include John Constantine, Zatanna, Jason Blood, also known as the Demon Etrigan. And the cast is as follows. We have Camilla Luddington as Zatanna. We have a brief cameo by Rosario Dawson reprising her role as Wonder Woman. We have Jerry O'Connell, again, brief cameo as Superman. Jason O'Mara as Batman. Alfred Molina as Destiny, Matt Ryan, which played John Constantine on the television show that was canceled. He reprises the role in this movie, which I thought was really cool. We have Enrico Catalatoni as Felix Faust. We have Ray Chase as Jason Blood / Etrigan, and we have Nicholas Torturo as Boston Brand in Deadman. This was a solid animated movie. I'm not versed heavily in the DCU when it comes to occult heroes. Like if you've listened to this show, any amount of time, I don't like scary stuff. I don't like supernatural elements like that. Even though Walking Dead is one of my favorite comics that I currently read, outside of that, I don't like horror even a little bit. I don't like horror movies. I don't like horror television. I don't like horror comic books. When the New 52 launched, I bought a couple of issues of Justice League Dark. I kind of liked it. It wasn't something that was at the top of my stack, and it just kind of faded away. I could say this movie kind of prompted my interest to kind of check out some of it. The source material, it ran, I can't remember how many issues it ran. I know I looked up how many trades that were available, because I was like, if I bought it digitally, I would just buy the trades. The series was collected in 6 volumes across the series that happened during the New 52. I'm pretty sure that it's not a Justice League Dark book currently being published. I think it canceled, or when they relaunched in the Rebirth. As of yet, these characters haven't reemerged in any way that I know of. This is not normally my cup of tea for stuff that I cover. I'm going to keep this review as spoiler free as possible, so you guys, if you're interested, you can check this movie out. It's a very basic, straightforward story. This movie is rated R. The DC animated Warner Brothers DC Animation has kind of been pushing the envelope lately. We had last year with The Killing Joke, that was a rated R movie. With the subject matter and the content, I understood why that was rated R. With this movie, less so, because I went in when I realized that the movie was rated R, that I thought it was going to be, very kind of graphic and maybe a lot more horror elements in it. It really wasn't scary in, any way. I mean, the language was stronger more than anything than necessarily graphic scenes. So I was kind of confused why it was rated R, but I mean, it kind of was definitely liberal with the F-bombs and things like that were being thrown out. But as far as graphic scenery, I've seen more graphic scenery, I feel like, in some of the other movies that weren't rated R, like when you go to Flashpoint, Paradox, some really graphic stuff, or even what was the other one that was really graphic? Right after Justice League War, Throne of Atlantis, that had some graphic stuff, and even the Gods and Monsters, that Justice League movie. Those I felt that were more graphic, that could have borderline been PG-13 or rated R, which weren't, and this was. And like I said, for the exception of certain language things, it was some decapitation and stuff, but it was with kind of like mythical creatures that, like I said, I think could have been a PG-13, not necessarily rated R, but again, it was a lot of F-bombs and like profanity being thrown around, so you wouldn't want kids to listen to that. So I can kind of understand why they kind of got that R rating on that. Overall, just like what most other movies that Jay Olivia has done for DC Animation, very straight to the point story. Again, I liked the inclusion of Jason O'Mara, which I really have enjoyed. It took some getting used to in this world, especially with the movies. Jay Olivia primarily at this point has dealt majorly with the Justice League and the Batman movies. More so, he's produced more Batman related movies than anything else. And really in the New 52 phase of the movies that he's done, Jason O'Mara has been his Batman, and they have really good chemistry at this point. I feel like Jason O'Mara has a really good handle. It's cool seeing him as an actor now, being on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'd be like, that's Batman, but he's playing a totally different character over there for Marvel on the television show. But it's kind of cool. But he's definitely grown on me. I didn't really see the reasoning for having him on the team outside of getting the Justice League Dark together, saying this is a job bigger bigger than for the Justice League. I need these, occult heroes or whatever, these supernatural heroes to kind of battle this. And he's kind of, if anything, which is kind of funny, he's kind of used as the comic relief, more so in this movie, but he felt a little unnecessary. But I like the fact that he was included, and you had the brief cameo with the Justice League when he's saying, yeah, this is above us. We need to escalate this to that heroes that are built to fight these supernatural and magical beings. And he kind of goes off, on this adventure. So it ties in to the larger animated cinematic universe that they've set up since Justice League War, and kind of have continued, on in that vein. So it was more for connective tissue than anything else. But, did we really need him outside of that? No, you didn't. He could have kind of faded away because he kind of felt useless, in fighting magic, Batman and magic, it's just not a necessarily logical fit. It was a brief cameo also by Swamp Thing. I think they kind of, in the presentation of it, they try to present him that he has a more larger role in the movie than what he does. It's more like a glorified cameo, in my opinion, in the movie. I kind of didn't do anything for me. I could take it or leave it. The movie was really based more around Zatanna and John Constantine, and Deadman and Jason Blood and Etrigan. And I love the dynamic, and I always do. Now, this is one thing. They touched on it a lot during the Justice League. The Justice League, and more so I think the Justice League Unlimited, they did quite a few stories with Jason Blood and Etrigan, and their history and their relationship, their symbiotic relationship. And they touch on it even more in this movie, and I really like that. It always had an affinity or a like towards that whole dynamic of Jason Blood and Etrigan, and they touch more on it here. And I like the resolution of that whole scenario. Zatanna, I didn't really read much of her in the New 52. From other iterations of Zatanna I've seen, she's slightly different, but again, they did some tinkering in the New 52. I didn't read much of it because, again, these are characters that are not in my wheelhouse per se. I felt like it fit. It was more updated, and it fit to where, they gave a pass between her and Constantine, and I guess it was more connective tissue there, because if you ever watched Batman the Animated Series, you knew that it was some history between Bruce and Zatanna, so it was some kind of cool stuff going on there. This was a very solid movie. It didn't knock my socks off, but it was solid nonetheless. If I had to rate it on my rating scale, I would give it a date night rental. If you want to convert that over to a numerical, that's between somewhere a 7 and an 8. I would give it more so a 7. It's definitely a solid movie. It's worth picking up if you like these characters. It's definitely darker in tone. I like it because it's a shift from the other stuff that they've done with the DC animated movies. They're opening up that door. They showed they could do the magic stuff, which was awesome because he's done it before with Doctor Strange. And if you go back, then this was a thing. Me and my wife was actually just talking about this a couple of days ago before I watched the movie to get ready for the review for this episode, is that if you go back, after we watched Doctor Strange, she forgot I had that animated movie. She watched it and she was like, wow, when was this made? And I was like, that movie was released like 2006, 2007. And she was like, wow, watching that cartoon, seeing the Doctor Strange movie, it was like a proof of concept like 10 years earlier on how to do a Doctor Strange live action movie. And it's kind of a similar thing now. Jay Olivia was picked for this specifically because he did that Doctor Strange movie and knew how to conduct, to translate the mythical arts into a coherent form in animation. And it's really done on a whole, you see that movie that was 10 years old and you see it now even refined even more. The battle scenes with the magic are so well done. And, you know, you've seen bits and pieces taken from Warcraft and Doctor Strange in live action, and even more so here, refined even more. So the next time we see like more magical creatures in film, they can even use some of the bits here to build up more. Because it's a hard thing to be able to translate magic on film or even animation. And he's kind of, in animation at least, he's been in the forefront, because the two most prominent movies would be Doctor Strange that he did over at Marvel 10 years ago, and now this movie. And I feel like this movie, just like Assault on Arkham, was kind of a proof of concept of that you could do a Suicide Squad live action movie. I think this, if this is successful, this is going to even help them further push the Doug Liman live action Justice League Dark movie forward, if this is successful, because Assault on Arkham was relatively successful for one of their direct to home video releases, and boom, you know, what, a year and a half later, we had Suicide Squad. So it'll be interesting to see by, you know, 2019 or late 2018 if we have a Justice League Dark movie. Only time will tell on that. But it's definitely, this is a solid movie. It might not be for everyone if you don't like, you know, the scary or the horror elements of it. I would have to say it's not too gory, it's not too bad. Again, it is rated R, so you don't want to be watching this in front of any young kids. You might want to screen it separately before you can judge on yourself how much, you know, you're comfortable with showing it to someone underage, as far as if you have kids or nieces and nephews or etc. Now, for upcoming, we have down the pike with DC Animated, we have a few more things coming. We have Teen Titans: The Judas Contract, which was set up in a after credits scene at the end of the Justice League versus Teen Titans movie. So we knew this was coming. Also directed by Jay Olivia. It's coming sometime this spring. When I was looking that up, no set release date as of yet that I saw. It just says spring 2017, which could be between now and the summer. And then we're going to have Batman and Harley Quinn, which Bruce Timm is heading that up, and that comes out the fall, winter of 2017. So those will be the two upcoming movies. And there's a lot of things being batted around, talked about. Normally we get announcements during San Diego Comic-Con during the summer of what's coming out, for the following year. So we have some time before we have an idea of what other movies going to be coming on the horizon. So this made me do a top 10 of Jay Olivia's films, since he has, quite a few under his belt at this point between Marvel and DC. I wanted to do a top 10 list, and my top 10 goes as follows. Number 10 for me would be Justice League Dark. Number 9 for me would be Invincible Iron Man. 8 would be Batman Assault on Arkham. Number 7 would be Doctor Strange. Number 6 would be Justice League War. Number 5 would be Batman Bad Blood. Number 4 would be Next Avengers Heroes of Tomorrow. Number 3 would be Green Lantern Emerald Knights. Number 2 would be the Batman The Dark Knight Returns Complete Edition, because when they released it in the end, they did it with part 1 and part 2. So I'm kind of cheating there because it's 2 movies in one, but it is one complete story. So again, the Batman The Dark Knight Returns Complete Edition, parts 1 and 2. And last but not least is number 1 Jay Olivia film for me, animated film for me, is Justice League The Flashpoint Paradox, which he knocked that one out of the park. So that's number 1 for me. So if you are not familiar with Jay Olivia, now I've given you a lot of background on him, and I've given you his top 10 animated movies. So if you haven't seen them, look those up. I know, like on iTunes at least, anyway, and I think they used to be on Netflix. I'm not still sure. A lot of the old Marvel animated films, all of them used to be on Netflix. I don't know if they still are or not, but you should be able to find Iron Man. If you do a search for Invincible Iron Man, Next Avengers Heroes of Tomorrow, and Doctor Strange. You might be able to find them there. And even some of his DC stuff should be on there now. I know some of them have been. If not, you should be able to find them on Amazon, iTunes, etc. Or you can probably find them cheap if you want physical media at the stores. Because most of these movies have been out for a while. The Marvel movies, I know when Doctor Strange came out, they had a special on iTunes where like the old Marvel animated movies were like $7 or $8. They were like super cheap. So just be on the lookout for them, where you find your media. Like I said, be via through online retailer for if you go digital, or physical media if you go to retail stores or Amazon, to buy the physical copies. You should be able to find all these movies relatively cheap. Again, the source material for Justice League Dark, this was from what I read, is loosely based off the series from the New 52. Like I said, it was 6 volumes. We have Justice League Volume 1, The Dark. We also have Justice League, The Dark Volume 2, Books of Magic. Justice League Dark Volume 3, The Death of Magic. Justice League Dark Volume 4, The Rebirth of Evil. Justice League Dark Volume 5, Paradise Lost, and last but not least, Justice League Dark Volume 6, Lost in Forever. I'll have links in the show notes on the website at comicbooksavant.com for links to the trades on In Stock Trades. I did a search, lock down that page, so you just click on the link, it'll take it In Stock Trades to the link on the page that have all the trades on it. You'll be able to pull them up there if you want to get those. And if you want to go digital, I'll have a link to the search on Comixology. So you can click on the link and go right to the Justice League Dark page. So if you want to check out source material, I'll have links to get you right to that stuff to kind of save you some of the legwork. That's all I have for you guys this week. Now, I do want to announce a contest. I talked to my friends over at InStockTrades.com. I'm going to do a contest for social media. This is what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to go over. I'm going to have a link in the show notes for this episode, or do a search on. If you go to YouTube, do a search for YouTube Comic Book Savant. I want you to go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to build up my presence over on YouTube. So I'm going to take this contest is going to run to the end of the month. I'm going to take a random person that subscribes to the YouTube channel. I'm going to randomly pick a winner from the subscribers there. So what you do is basically just go over, subscribe, leave a comment in this episode, because the actual audio gets converted and goes over to YouTube right now. So when you go over to this episode 325, I want you to go over, subscribe to the channel over on YouTube, and then comment in the video. Just have a comment, and I'm going to randomly select from this and the upcoming episodes that'll come this month, and I'm going to randomly put them all in a generator, and whoever out of the people that subscribed and commented, you only can comment on one video per week or whatever, because one episode comes out per week, and I'm going to take that, pick a winner from there, and you're going to get a $25 gift certificate to In Stock Trades. So, again, I'm trying to build up that social media presence. And, again, I'm working on original content for that now. Just trying to get that perfected. But I'm trying to build up the YouTube channel, so want to get eyes over there. So if you listen to the show, it's no easier way to go over there, comment, starting with this video, which will be Comic Book Savant episode 325. I'll have, again, it'll be a link to the YouTube in the show notes for this, or just do a search for Comic Book Savant on YouTube. The channel's already up and live, but again, it's no original content. It's just right now these episodes are being posted on there that I do, the audio episodes that I've been doing. But comment on the video starting with this one, and again, I'm going to put all those in a pool. You only can comment once per video. So starting with this episode, and it probably will be before the month's end, it's probably going to be at least 2 more episodes. And so you'll have 1 chance per week to register for the contest. And at the end of the month, I'll pick one winner. You'll get a $25 gift certificate to InStockTrades.com. So they were gracious enough to contribute that. So we're going to run this contest, have a little fun with it. As always, you can find me over at the website, which is comicbooksavant.com, on Twitter, Instagram, again, also on YouTube as well. That's all I have for you guys this week. I will see you next week with another episode of Comic Book Savant. You guys take care.
And into lyrical wholeness. And I know this, and I know this. This I know, this I know.